Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of this vibecoding session. This is a very special episode because in this episode, instead of the developers, we have himself, Jibril and Igor from the compiler team joining us after the heavy lifting of the fuel forge. So, hey Jibril and Igor, how are you guys?
Hey, yeah, doing well. How are you, Igor?
Hey, I'm fine.
Pretty
I
well.
was
Oh,
going
sorry.
well. Actually, right now, pretty happy because the PR I'm working on is going. Like I'm just ticking the things off, and that's always like put me in a good mood.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I think like especially after like the long journey, I think you must be like having a lot of backlogs, so you must be like swamped under a lot of backlogs of the PRs.
Indeed, yeah. But I think
Yeah,
it was worth it to have a break on PRs. Yeah,
Yeah. So
lots
like
of stuff to pick back up on, but yeah, honestly, it's mostly the jet lag from coming back from Forge that's killing me at this point. Not really the backlog.
yeah. Still.
yeah, I think it was like a 16-hour flight one way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, really
Well,
long.
I can say only one thing. Like when I arrived back, I slept 17 hours straight, like from 11 p.m. until 4 p.m. next day. I think that tells everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, actually, coming to that, how I would like to like know from both of you. Like in the previous episodes, we have had people from the Chart House Labs, Denny building code riots, share their experiences. But as a mentor and from the compiler team, how was your experience with Forge?
it was honestly it was really interesting because it was a lot better than I expected. I came in, I mean, kind of like trying to see if because we don't get many occasions to see people picking up Sway from scratch, pretty much, or with like only a very cursory understanding of the language and like just building stuff. So I really wanted to see what the process looks like, and of course, like give them some pointers and all that. And I would honestly very positively surprised at how well it went. I think it speaks very well about all the resources that we've built over time to help people learn Sway and pick up the language. There's still some stuff to improve, but generally, my opinion was really positive. And honestly, I feel like this is the sort of stuff that we should have been doing since way back when, really, like from the start. I'm really hoping that we have a number of these because this one was pretty good. I know. How do you feel about it, Yor?
Same thing. This was an extraordinary actually experience to have, and I would love to have a more of it. So essentially, usually the way we get a feedback about the language is, like through the forum, like people asking things, and also looking at the code that people write and so on, and the needs they have, and the community is very active. So you kind of get some feeling how a life of a developer might look like when they confront Sway. But this was literally experiencing it firsthand, just sitting next to someone who is seeing like fuel development environment in general and Sway in particular, and writing code for the first time. It's extremely valuable. Like you see what are the things we definitely did well, where we can still improve. I appreciate the opportunity definitely we had there.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So, like, I would like to point out one thing that you mentioned. Like, there were a lot of new developers and like who were trying Sway for the first time, as well as some people were like writing code for the first time. So, I think I have heard like there are some misconception among the developers that Sway is relatively not easier to pick up for someone who's new to Sway. So, what is your take after seeing developers trying Sway for the first time at Forge?
Honestly, I feel like it's actually a lot easier, but not quite because of Sway and in particular the language. I have some stuff to say about that because, of course, like we had a gradient of like skill among the developers that participated in Forge, and like different opinions depending on that. But in terms of like picking up the entire ecosystem and building apps on Fuel, I feel like it was really a lot easier than dealing with the sort of tooling that you get with Solidity because it's so well integrated together. Like uh, it's very easy to just transition from your Sway code directly to the SDK, directly to it. And it just seemed to work very well and very seamlessly with exactly the sort of effect we were going for.
That's really, I think, insightful, because I have had like similar feedback from all the people who have actually tried Sway, and some of them were like even not from the Solidity as well as Rust background. Some were like just front end engineers who were new to smart contracts, and they have even find it not very difficult to pick up. Firstly, the concepts as well as the language itself, because there might be some issue like some friction initially, but with the help of tooling and the dev tools that Sway provides, it becomes really easy to get grasp of all of it. And
Yeah, but I must say, my favorite comment was from one of like the more experienced developers that we had there that had written a lot of Solidity. And after Forge, he's now messaging us to say, "Oh yeah, I miss enums and all like the language features that are in Sway." So yeah, that's definitely nice to hear, having built all that.
Yeah, that,
yeah,
that was a cool comment. Yeah, also, yeah, but maybe just to reflect on that a bit, how difficult it is to pick up. So I agree with Jibril. Like the tooling is all together together very well integrated. Like starting from the fuel up and so on, and having a tool chain and everything else. That's pretty smooth. To the things which are difficult to pick up, I think it's not the language. It's mostly the concepts. And Jibril and I discuss it a lot. Like for also telling the devs. Like if you're talking about writing a contract, and for somebody coming from Solidity, which was interesting to see also at Forge, I would say zero friction to pick up Sway and to move there. But if we start talking about the UTXOs, and in particular about the predicates, we actually have two powerful concepts which are different from the, let's say, the mainstream, if we take Ethereum as a mainstream. And there I can expect some frictions, and this is something I think it's on our side to simply cover better with the documentation examples and so on. Yeah.
In a sense, I think that's one of the nice things about Sway and the ecosystem, even at this point, is that you have access to those more powerful primitives that allow you to do UTXO level stuff, but you can still have this base that looks very much like what you're used to from an account-based blockchain. And you can actually link those two together. This is actually one of the things that I was really thinking hard about at Forge from discussing with some of the people there. And there's even like an SRC standard that I want to make related to how exactly you make those interact with each other in a standard way, so we can better integrate it with the tooling. But yeah, it's nice that you got this base, and I feel like perhaps what Forge demonstrated for me is that all the resources that we have to help people learn the language, the concepts, and all that exist. It's just that they're perhaps not organized in the best way so that they're immediately accessible. So I think that's one of the changes that we're going to make with this experience, is that we're going to try and organize them in a way that's more directly accessible to the developers. So like, given your level of knowledge of either like blockchain or smart contracts or the fuel ecosystem in particular, it should be very easy for you to pick up. Here are all the resources I need to improve my skill level on this stuff.
yeah.
To the sorry, yeah.
No, I was just gonna add like one thing that on the resources, like I think we also need to arrange that in a increasing hierarchy, so that developers can be very intuitive on where they need to start and where they need to advance on gradually. So yeah.
Maybe I would love to add to this. So I agree completely. So one thing is literally having it like better introductions, better structures for developers. The other thing important that's also like we experienced at Forge, to have it actually like a high quality documentations for the AI as well. So the MCP works fine, really fine. We also demonstrated that at Forge. For fuel, and you can really see like there where we have a rich documentation and documentation is up to date and so on, AI is actually giving good results and expected results. So to put in general a bit more effort also for us from the compiler team when we have a new feature, not just to roughly sketch it, but actually put some more info. It helps the developers, but what's also important nowadays, it helps the AI as well tremendously.
Yeah, and I think like as like there is some uh there's some like narrative going on city that in the future AI agents will be the most active D5 users in the coming future. So I think it definitely helps or supports that. uh, so yeah.
I think,
Mhm.
yeah, and so far as the tool is very much able, because like one of the problems that you get with LLMs in general is that it's difficult for them to pick up new information or like very recent information. And of course, like Sway is not a very old language in the grand scheme of things. So having that MCP and being able to pick up the documentation information very, very quickly so that you have up-to-date and accurate information from those tools that developers really use these days is important, and that's one of the things that we're really thinking about.
Yeah. And talking about the MCP server, so after looking at people trying to use MCP servers at first, how far do you think we have came with the MCP server when it comes to Sway language, or like in particular about Fuel, and what are the still advancements or like refinements that we need to make in order to reach where it needs to be?
Maybe yeah, I can say so. At Forge, I was actually insisting people
Okay.
not using AI. In this introductory session, I wanted them to literally use their brain and write the code, and the code makes sense for them. At least for the first workshops, that they pick up Sway and not have AI doing it for them. And then later on, when they started building, they used it to an extent. And the overall experience is this: what I mentioned. You can really correlate it to the quality of the documentation. The things which are outdated in the docs, you can end up with let's say code generated with a outdated API or SDK and so on. One experience I have, because I use AI heavily essentially when writing Sway code. It's interesting to see where it's still confused with the Rust and Sway. I still get proposals which are perfectly fine in Rust, and for some things, the AI is still not picking it. That we don't have an assert with exclamation mark and that thing. So to have a better distinction there, we will definitely have to provide more content so that it's clear what's Sway and what's Rust. But otherwise, my overall experience is pretty good still. So we have to correct quite some, but like writing tests and so on, that works, I would say 99%, like out of the box. Yeah.
So now, moving forward, so after the learnings from Forge, how do you think it has impacted, or like what are the changes on the roadmap of the compiler team, or maybe the tooling team that you see, and uh, how far are there changes from the release?
Well, there's definitely some stuff, but what's interesting is how little is actually changed. A lot of the stuff that was asked by the devs or that we looked at and deserved some improvements was actually stuff that we're already looking at in the first place. To give you an example, one of the devs was requesting the ability to change the chain state within in-language tests to test notably stuff that relates to time. And the tooling team is actually working right now on like more powerful testing framework that allows you to change those kind of things. Maybe also like GTF outputs, stuff like that. Just like the context that you're executing within, return some specific stuff so that you can test those outcomes properly. So, and yeah, like we said, the resources that we have are actually like pretty well developed. It's just a question of organizing them properly. I think one like general, perhaps not complaint, but like requests that people have with Sway at the moment is better debugability and like having error messages that are more meaningful, which is definitely something that we're taking seriously and working on pretty constantly at the moment. So yeah, that. In a sense, it's not changing our direction. There is maybe like small stuff that we got from Forge that allow us to tailor it more specifically to what developers want. But yeah, don't expect us to completely change course over this.
That's my experience as well, same as Jibril's, and we discussed it also at Forge. That actually we already work on the right things. To one thing in particular, and we were discussing it on Monday, like when the BI backtracing lands and we roll it out in the standard library. I think this will already be a huge improvement, especially for those like coming to Sway from the first time. Like essentially, you will get an error and you will know exactly more or less pretty well why it's there and what's going on, and all of that for zero cost or negligible cost. That's definitely one of the things. I have to say I have my small list of smaller improvements, which are mostly about error messages. So I was sitting next to developers who would, like compile the code and then get error messages, which are clear to me, but then you realize why they're very actually confusing, and it can be better structured. That's definitely a low-hanging fruit for us, doing it as a side, but I see it helps tremendously to somebody who is developing, like writing code for the first time. Yeah.
It's quite interesting. So I think one thing like that would, I think, help or like enhance the developer experience is just realigning the existing resources. And talking about resources, I think there are also some ongoing discussions on Jibril, you and Igor doing some video series on Sway. So would you mind sharing a little more on that to our community?
Well, it's still in development, so there isn't really much to say at this time. But it goes into what we discussed earlier, which is having like this more structured approach to learning the language and the tooling, etc., where you can pick up at your exact skill level and get very relevant results there. Yeah, I mean, maybe Igor, you want to say a little more about this?
Yes. So essentially, it turned out that the materials which we did for Forge, in particular, like actually quite good for like let's say this hands-on introduction. So the idea would be to have a series of like well-focused videos that focus on a particular parts of Sway, short videos with the lab examples and so on, like so that people can code along, and we would show like and explain in words and in a bit more details, writing code literally. So the idea is really to type code as we go. And we believe that this would also be an additional resource, especially for those who actually love to learn from videos. So there's always these two kind of developers: those who just want to give me a book, or those who are like give me a course. And we want to cover both. So currently we are more focused on the technical documentation, like the written one, but this would be an addition to it. Yeah.
Interesting. So I think we can expect to have some long form of course, I can say, for the Sway, right?
Yeah. We are discussing also now a blockchain developer in general, like 101 of blockchain development. So like a Sway course would be for those who already understand what the blockchain is. So let's say a prequel would be like blockchain 101, which is also something we are discussing to do. But
yeah, in a sense, it would be again like trying to replicate the experience that we had at Forge, where Igor had this like very hands-on course about Sway and how exactly you can do these different patterns and smart contracts. But we still had a lot of material that was more general about here's the context of where fuel is, here are all the concepts that you're going to be manipulating with the language, etc., where it gives you like more context. And again, it's to have this sort of like tiered approach to it, where if you already know all those concepts, if you're like an experienced blockchain developer, you just want to pick up the language, you can just pick up the language. But if you don't really know where to start or where what all this stuff actually means, you can't actually start from scratch and get yourself trained on the whole thing.
Yeah. So jumping on to the next discussion. So how was your like experience mentoring the devs, and I think you were there for like the entire month during Hacker House. How was the entire atmosphere? I think that was like the Hacker House, like very focused on learning. And I think you also did some sort of kayaking and like coconut rugby, I think. So how was the experience? And also, especially, I think during the last week there were around VC sessions. So how were the like how did you guys help with the to the developers to refine their product? Like was it with the like entire product, or like more of a GTM? Like what was the entire situation there?
Well, maybe one thing to start with that I want to say is that the choice of venue was really nice. Costa Rica is, of course, a beautiful country, but putting us, well, in the middle of nowhere, but not too much in the middle of nowhere. Like we had internet access and everything that worked really well, but we were also like entirely focused on like building stuff. There were very really nice scenery, but it was all like to this end of we're really focused on trying to build everything, and that's what we're doing for this month. I think that was like a pretty big success there. Um, yeah, Igor, maybe you want to say something
I
about
agree with this
specifically
with the
tutoring.
venue. Like at the beginning, we were all a bit like, like where are we going? Like, is this the right place to be? You know, like the jungle, literally
Yeah.
jungle. But then in the end, it turned out that the venue actually brought a lot. So definitely the focus, and also as Jibril said, I agree completely. Like the perfect balance of like isolation, which you need to produce like high quality creative work, and on the other side, uh, activities we could undertake, which are also like in close distance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
in terms of refining the products, I do really want to credit Nick, who took like a very heavy hand approach to it, like you know, really g- getting very involved with everybody and trying to get out of them like what it is that they really wanted to build, and like pushing them to have like the best pitch possible. Really, he spent a lot of effort on this.
Yeah, to me actually that part was amazing to see. Like the technical things aside, like and also Naziha, I want to stress this. This was a founder's house actually. Like more than
Mhm,
the focus was not on hackathons actually. Yes,
mhm.
the teams wrote a lot of Sway code, and also had the demos ready and so on. And I'm amazed with that part. But mostly with this, I would say, a transformation through which the product goes, like the product definition and building. That was the amazing part. Like when you see founders coming with, yes, they have idea, but it's a bit vague, or they have a good idea, but they are not like that good in explaining and presenting them. And then after 3 weeks, like you see like like I wouldn't say only polished pitches, but really products I would invest in to very like self-confidently presented with like like with numbers, with everything. That was definitely like Nick is great in that. And this is also, I would say, my call to the developers and founders out there, like join the next Forge. Like this kind of training and this kind of experience, I don't know where you can get it actually, so that somebody can actually help you to make your product like presentable, and also presentable to VCs, better understandable for yourself, to help you, like to define your go-to-market and all of the details which are product related, not only coding related. Yeah, that was astonishing, amazing to see. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in one of the previous episodes, I think Danny had mentioned that when he joined, he had this like completely different idea, and it was very blurred in his mind. Like when while getting in the beginning of the week, like he got into discussion with the team, and Nick helped him refine his idea like 2 or 3 times, and now like he changed the project topic, like what is gonna be like for 2 or 3 times. And after like asking like multiple questions, he finally was very clear in his mind, okay, like this is what I want to build. And he ended up building code riots. So yeah, like that's very interesting. Like it helps you the like we have helped develop what inside developers mind to get it out and help them like build that and bring it live for them. So yeah, that's really, I think it's like nurturing your child, like you will be taken care of entirely starting from development to refining your strategy and pitches. So I think that's like
Well,
a complete package. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't want to be too infantilizing. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still your idea. But yeah, I know firsthand how difficult it can be to like get your own idea out of yourself and actually like
Yeah.
put yourself in the right frame of mind to develop the stuff that you want to develop and that actually makes sense. So having people that are like really, really trying to get it out of you definitely is a lot of help, especially if you're in the middle of jungle, there's nowhere else to run to but actually building the product.
Yeah.
This is the part, Nazik, now when you're saying it, the scene actually goes through my mind. So I was watching this discussion like between Danny and Nick, and this is one of the tools Nick had, just one of them, these whys. So he was literally iterating through the idea by asking, why do you want to do that? What do you think? Why do you want to do that? And through going through these whys, actually, in this particular case, but it was similar with the other teams, I actually got a clear vision what he actually wants to build, which was somehow something different. So he pivoted. Some other teams also pivoted as well. Again, so this kind of workshop or this kind of training, so that somebody literally help you to better understand what you want and what you have in your mind, it's priceless.
Yeah, totally agree. Now I think I am feeling so left out for not joining you guys. Yeah, but I think like I will be like
Join the
I'm looking
next one.
forward. Yeah, I'm looking forward for the next one in January. Yeah, for those of you guys who like want to join as a sponsor or developer, I'll put the link in the description, and you can check out that form. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all the questions that I have. Any last thought that you would like to add, Jibril or Igor?
Yeah, my main takeaway from this is that I really want all those projects that we saw to actually manifest so I can actually use all this stuff, because a lot of it
Yeah.
is really amazing. Like even code riots, which we talked about, I really want to see how that turns out. But even like more practical stuff like the casino, I really want to
Yeah.
use.
So I have to say, up to the casino, that's not quite my thing. For the others, like I can already imagine holding the Haven card and
Yeah,
and
no, the
so
perps
on, and the
exchange
other
as well. Like
perps
I
exchange,
absolutely
definitely.
relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So to others, and also code rights, yeah. But who knows? But I don't want to get hooked on the casino stuff. It's not just kidding a bit. It's not my
Understandable.
thing. But everything else is definitely like I see myself as a user. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Like I like the one that you mentioned, Heaven Card. I'm actually quite excited for it because in India, firstly, there is not much crypto cards that are compatible in India. For example, EtherFi is one of them. It's not available in India, and I would love to have a card added in my Apple Wallet, which is not no KYC, and I can use it everywhere. So I'm quite excited for it. And yeah, also like the code riots, actually I had this idea like code riots actually enables non-developers to participate in a hackathon, just like we did with Branded. Like we had like two completely non-dev person participate in a hackathon. So I think that unlocks a completely new paradigm of who can participate in hackathons.
I just thought it was really fun to watch. That's why I'm interested.
Yeah, cool. I guess that brings us to end of the session. Thank you so much, Jibril and Igor, for joining us. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
Thanks for
Thank you,
coming,
guys.
Sanjeev. Bye. Bye.